Hi, I'm Jim Ziegler, the AlphaDawg, and we've got one tremendous broadcast, better than usual. I'm talking about some of my dear friends and some of the movers and shakers in the industry are on the show today. Today, we're going to talk about advertising. But more than advertising, we're going to talk about promotions. We're going to talk about giving back to the community with long-term equity in the community. We're going to talk about everything from blood drives to puppy drives to Evil Knievel jumping over the dealership with a motorcycle. We're going to talk about all of the events in the business. But first of all, a guy that I've known for probably 15, 20 years, I'm not sure, the general manager of Beaver Toyota, one of the foremost dealers in the area, my friend, Patrick Abad. Hello, Patrick.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for having me, man. This is awesome.
Hey, it's awesome to have you here. You are definitely a mover and shaker. And what is your title, April?
I think you went with the Duchess of Productivity.
The Duchess of Productivity. I'm talking about the Director of Advertising Marketing for the Herron Automotive Group, Phoenix, Arizona, a working car person, one of the best in the industry, my friend April Simmons. Hi, kid.
Hey, happy Hump Day, everyone.
And Pat, I heard it is St. Patrick's Day this weekend.
It is. It's also my birthday this weekend.
Happy birthday.
Excuse me. The only person who reminded us was one of our favorite heavy drinkers, Geno Walsh. From the Qvale Auto Group.
Those days have been long past me, man. So I left those days back in Ohio. So
I got
it's a standard thing in Ohio.
It was terrible because I had the cancer operation in 2020, and as a result, I can't drink alcohol.
Which means if you go visit him, his very expensive collection gets shared with you. This is a pro tip for all the friends.
I've got 5 unopened bottles of Louis the 13th, Pappy Van Winkle, and I can't drink any of it. And
I got you back.
The bow tie guy. I saw him on TV before I found out he was a neighbor of mine. 3 blocks from where I live in Chateau Country Club. My good friend Mike Scoop Engel, Shorkey Automotive Group, operating partner. Are you in Pittsburgh or Atlanta today?
Right now I'm in Pittsburgh. It's a little cold up here, a little colder than sunny Georgia where Patrick's at.
The bow tie guy, man. This guy is a mover and shaker by all rights. And the curmudgeon, the contrarian, the mad Russian, the DOWC reinsurance expert, Max Zanan. Hey, big guy.
Hey, Jim. Good to be here.
Oh, it's good.
I'm glad we're back. After being, off the air for a few months.
Yeah, well, you're going to get good lighting now too, I hear.
Next week, it's going to be like a porn star set.
Oh my God, that's great news. I'll take a check for being your manager at any point.
Are you going back into porn? I can't wait to see Max with the ball.
Pineapple.
I can't wait to see Max with the ball.
I'm not calling pineapple on that. I find that totally acceptable to have a conversation.
What kind of events are we talking about today, Jim?
I know, right? Different type of promotion, guys.
When you get off, Max will start the worst subjects.
Oh yeah.
And one of the most brilliant women in the car business, the Empress of Executive Management, my friend Jennifer Briggs. Hi, kid.
Hey, Jim. I'm also glad that we're back. I am glad you're getting lighting, Max, but I don't know about the reference for the lighting, but I am glad we're going to get to see your face a little bit better.
Oh God! And the queen of BDC, one of the foremost BDC experts in the known universe, my friend Bobbie Herron. Hi, kid.
Hi.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're starting this off right.
Oh, she drained one of those bottles of Louis the 13th while she was here.
That was more me.
I'm a team
actually.
player. Okay. If we're friends and you need to take me to take one for the team, as long as it's legal or I can get out of it with a lawyer, I'm probably in. So
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Okay, let's start off with the subject today, promotions. I am a strong believer in promotions. 2/3 of the word promotion is motion. You know, and when I talk about promotions, we're giving back to the community. Patrick, what are you guys doing?
What aren't we doing? No. I'll start by saying I'm a firm believer in supporting the communities that actually make you successful. I think it's an important piece. I think a lot of successful businesses or on their way to being successful leave out that piece. I mean, we're everywhere, Jim, and I tie it to, I have my marketing dollars and I have my community dollars. But in the reality is in our store, I actually have a community partnership director, which I think is important. I think there should be.
Wait a second, Patrick. You've got an employee dedicated, and I've created that in a number of dealerships, Ed Bozarth in Denver, and a number of dealerships. What we call the ambassador. That was same. Tell me more about that.
Well, that's an important piece because the reality is a lot of businesses will have that as a joint or sometimes a multiple job role for somebody where your job is not just that, but you got to do 8 other things. And I just think it's so important to have that one person that the community and your people can go to. And when we created that, Jim, we saw a need in our store. People want to serve. People actually want to go out there and help the community and be part of the community. They just don't know how. So my job at that point was to find that avenue for them to do so. And that's where that role started. And we've been doing that. That role has existed in every one of the career jobs I've had in my career. We've always had that one person that everybody can go to, not just the community, but the employees. And it's that one person that can kind of push things out and help put us hands and feet in the community. I think that's the big part of that job. But more importantly, kind of filter through a lot of it, right? There's some good, there's a lot of good, but there are some bad. So you want to make sure that you're putting yourself where you should be, things that you're gonna be effective, things that are worth the dollars and the time, and have that one person that their singular role, I think, is really important in a successful business.
Geno, what have you done?
I mean, just some of the stuff that we do besides just the local stuff, because every year we're either involved with a soccer team that's local or a high school that's local. But one of the big impactful things we did right after Hurricane Ian, we had 2 grand opening events at our Volkswagen store and also at our Alfa Romeo Maserati store, and we raised over $103,000 for hurricane relief just in those 2 months. So wow,
that is a great example. Okay, so
we might not ever get any of those dollars back, but the community outreach and the engagement and taking an event like that we had and turning it into an event of giving and then matching the dollars that came in was such a special thing to be involved with and be engaged with in our community, especially when people, I mean, you guys saw some of the videos that came out of Naples and in Fort Myers and down there, just completely washed out. People lost everything. And
well, you got to remember, I was living in Florida at that time.
Yeah. So you know how impactful it was, and it was great to really give back at that time. So we always look for little opportunities like that. But then, to Patrick's point, it's like getting involved at the grassroots level and helping out. Some of these things will only cost $1,000, and the impact that you can have on a bunch of young people or families is just, it's tremendous. And we always try to get involved and engaged from that way. So we're going to have a big event. We're going to try to turn it into something that's more than just about selling or servicing cars. It's going to be about trying to give back to the community.
It's about giving back to the community with no expectation of reward, but it's image. Mike Engel, the Jim Shorkey Automotive Group. You're in Pennsylvania. You're in Atlanta, Georgia. What are you guys doing?
Hey, thanks for having me. Look, I'm passionate about this. The reality is when I found out that Geno and Patrick were on the show today, I was going to be on anyway just to follow their lead. I mean, both these guys do a great job. Patrick is underselling the job he does in Georgia, in Atlanta. I mean, he just does an amazing job.
Agreed.
I'm jealous of the energy that he puts out into the community. But again, it's a subject I'm passionate about. I was very fortunate coming up in my career. I had a dealer, even back to when I was a general sales manager, he believed in tithing. We would give 10% of our profits every year to community outreach. And we would choose everything from local small charities to, I watched him one time, a rep from the American Heart Association walked into his office, and he sat there, listened to their pitch, and he pulled out a checkbook and wrote him $50,000. And it had a huge impact on me. But he always said, don't do it for the wrong reasons, right? Do it because it's the right thing to do. Don't do it because you're looking for a return on the investment. The return on the investment is that you care and you're doing the right thing. And so we have a little motto that we talk about with our team, that we want to produce more so we can give more, right? Because the more we produce as a team, the more it allows us to go out in our community. And we've kind of touched on everything big and small. I'm on the board for a school here in Pittsburgh, Nazareth Prep. It's a local school for inner city youth that doesn't get, the opportunity for education. We partner with Animal Friends. We do things that, we kind of focus on the things that we really are genuinely care about, because you want to be passionate about it. Again, you don't want to do it for the wrong reasons. And so we really try to focus our whole team on getting involved in the community. We bring them out to the events. We're going to be out to the St. Patrick's Day parade this Saturday. We're donating trucks, and we're going to have kids in the back of our trucks. And so, when you pick the charities you want to be involved in, find things you're passionate about. Like, I'm passionate about kids, and I'm passionate about animals.
I noticed that. I crawled all over the Shorkey websites and the social media pages and the Jim Shorkey, both domains. You guys are all over helping kids.
Yeah. And shout out to the Shorkey family. When I moved here from DC, when we first started talking about, me joining the group, one of my sticking points was, hey, we're going to get involved in the community and we're going to be writing some big checks. And I'll tell you, shout out to the Shorkeys. They were not hugely involved, not because they didn't want to be, but they were just busy running their dealerships. And every time I've presented them with an opportunity to partner with an organization, they've never said no. They've never talked about, hey, the expenses or what this is going to cost us. They jump in with both feet. And so shout out to the entire family for, their commitment to the community.
April, the Horn Automotive Group, you guys don't do anything.
We do so many things, and it's really store by store. One of the Facebook users just kind of posted something, and I think we talk sometimes about community involvement not having an ROI, but it absolutely has one of the best ROIs out there, because when you show your customers that you care about things that they care about, then they want to do business with you. And no, it's not a one-to-one ROI. It's a lift over time of really building those relationships, which is really important. But the other side of the coin, we talk a lot over the last year, we've heard this a lot about employee retention. And that's the other aspect, is you get your employees involved and you're showing that you care about things that they care about. The likelihood that they're going to leave you when you're doing those things, bellying up, going to the, soup kitchen with them, or bringing in a pet adoption into your showroom, and that's something they're passionate about. It's not just what is the top passionate about, what are the people working for you passionate about, and trying to align with that. So this last couple of weeks in Apache Junction, Arizona, we have 2 stores there. They have what's called Lost Dutchman Days. It's huge. Every event that goes on for that whole month goes to all the charities in that city, all of them. So they all get a percentage, and it helps everybody. They have an old school parade, and so all the kids are there and the fire trucks are there, and we had a float in the parade, and you really are getting involved, and that goes so far, not only for the humans that you're giving to, but also the people inside your store who now don't want to leave you because you make them feel like they're part of that. So it's an ROI for both sides. And I think it's important to recognize there is still an ROI to it.
Yeah, I think
Bobbie,
that's so important.
Okay.
Sorry, Jim. Sorry. But I think that is so incredibly important. And one of the things that I used to do when I was at Feldman here in Detroit is we would have a shared calendar across the company. And it wasn't just the events we were doing. If we were doing a firefighter cook-off, or Angels Wings was a local organization there, but we invited it was shared calendar for the entire organization. And if you were in the Lions Club and they were doing a spaghetti feed or a pancake breakfast or whatever, everyone was encouraged, because then it gave us an opportunity. April's point, and then someone in the comments watching the show had said the same thing, is that when you as a leadership team can get involved, not just with the community, but with your team, it really helps to create an even bigger ripple effect. And it didn't have to be that the entire group was sponsoring what a technician had done, like a pancake breakfast, had put it on the calendar, but 4 or 5 of us in management made sure that we attended it. We made sure that we were supporting our employees and their community efforts the same way we ask them to show up when we're doing those things as well. If they're going to volunteer at the 5K that we're sponsoring, or they're going to do those things, you got to show up for your people and your community.
You got to show up for your people. Now, go back to Patrick, what he said earlier about having a dealership ambassador. When I created the dealership ambassador role at Bozarth years ago, we advertised for retired flight attendants. Anytime we're building a BDC, you can get somebody that's been trained on the telephone, used to working the long hours. Anytime I can get a retired flight attendant on my telephones or interacting with the public, that is a bonus. And we had a lot of mostly women, 50-year-old middle-aged women that had the people skills and the training to do that. So the retired flight attendants or reservations agents, great people. Bobbie, give me an example of what that you've seen of a magnificent promotion.
I will absolutely do that. I wanted to throw out first, like, a thank you to the gentlemen that are our guests on the show today, not just for being our guests, but I'm such a big believer in being involved in your community. It is so important that we not only give back, but that we support. And like April said, when customers know or employees know that we care about what they care about, it's huge. And David Sablonsky had mentioned, I wish more people knew that we did this. And it's a fine line, right, in your community to use something that you do for genuine kindness to then be seen as that's why you're doing it, versus letting the community know so they know you're involved and so that they can actively be involved with you. But I'll say the Volts Auto Group out of New York and Connecticut does a phenomenal job in community. Jen
Are you consulting them now?
Huh?
Are you working with them?
I've been working with them for 8 years, and I normally won't say my clients are online, but I will in this case because we don't do BDC together, we do marketing. But they do a phenomenal job, and it's particularly been taken on by the employees as it being important. And the leaders in the store stepped back and said, do what you guys want to do. And they have done a phenomenal job. They're actively involved. They host things. They volunteer their time. And I would also say the Garber Automotive Group does something that I particularly love. I was with Garber for a long time, and I have an insane amount of respect for Dick Garber and that team. And we still work together on things, but they volunteer every year with HUD Housing. And so what Dick does in his corporation, which is a giant company across the country, is everybody who wants to volunteer to go build a house on that day or however they can volunteer their time, it's paid time off. Nobody gets a hard time, nothing. It's done over the course of 2 to 3 days so that there's coverage on all the floors.
So they're building the houses? They're building the houses?
Yeah. Can you believe they let me get on a roof? That's terribly dangerous. But yeah, I got to say, it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. And it's kept me involved in HUD since then in doing it. And I have so much respect for that.
Okay. Patrick, give me an example of a promotion that you have done. Get into specifics.
Well, when you talk about in the community, we right now, and if you actually go in our showroom, there's a whole bunch of prom dresses. And I never even realized the need for girls who can't afford to get their prom dresses. But if you go in our showroom right now, there's a whole bunch of lined up prom dresses.
Wait a second.
That's amazing.
What a great idea. Say it again.
So in our showroom right now, there's a rack and people are bringing prom dresses, their old prom dresses, for us to give to an organization here called The Place. And what they do is they distribute them out to girls who cannot afford to go out and buy prom dresses.
I hope this is Beaver Toyota Atlanta. I'm telling you, these guys are on top of everything, and
but Jim, if you that, tomorrow I have a team of my people. So that's one part, right? Then I have a team of my people going to Camp Twin Lakes, which is not too far from where you're at, which is a camp that does for kids with serious illness or disabilities. It gives them a summer camp. And my team's going out there tomorrow to go and clean up the places where the kids stay, it's a hospital in the back, but it's a camp in the front. And they're going to go there tomorrow and help get the camp ready for the springtime and that type of thing. And that's the team building one of you guys were talking about earlier, that how the team will go and they'll have people from parts with the people from sales and people from service. Now all of a sudden they come back and they start to build this cool relationship. So there's so many other things that we get out of it more than just. But now here's the thing. I sell everybody from their cars. It's a byproduct of just having good people doing good things.
It's a relationship, which is exactly how we're supposed to be selling and building in our communities. That's what you're building.
Now,
that's awesome.
I got to tell you, I have seen 10,000 people on a dealership's parking lot on 3 occasions, maybe 4. One of the times I saw it was a little dealer in Griffin, Georgia. When I was consulting the Ford minority auto dealers, when I was consulting the minority auto dealers program for Ford Motor Company, they had a minority dealer, Spalding Ford in Griffin, Georgia, and we were selling 300 cars a month in Mayberry. I mean, we're talking way out there. So anyway, one of the promotions that I was involved in is we had a professional wrestling match on. This is Georgia. Okay.
I remember seeing this stuff.
I've done that in Michigan too, Jim.
we hired a lot of the over their prime wrestlers. You can do this pretty cheap. We put up a wrestling ring in the middle of the inventory. And we had police directing traffic. We had 10,000 people on the lot to see a wrestling match. So if you, like I said, Georgia, but anyway
well, in Michigan we had to do it in the service lane because we don't have your weather. So
it was absolutely amazing.
We did a dunk tank for cancer in the service lane, and it was amazing. And we dunked Dick Garber. I got dunked. It was amazing. We raised a ton of money.
Mike Engel, have you ever done a wrestling match?
Not done a wrestling match. That's not allowed up here in Pittsburgh, Jim.
Now you're involved a lot with the sports teams, aren't you?
Yeah, we've been fortunate. I've got some personal relationships with got to hang out with Mario Lemieux a couple times with the Penguins. You want to talk about a guy that gives back to the community. He's incredible. I mean, so we've got really, the Penguins, the Steelers, and the Pirates up here do a great job in the community. And so we've partnered with all 3 teams on different fundraisers, different levels of charities. And it's cool to have a community that really, it's like Pittsburgh's a different place. I was from D.C., where a lot of very transit community, much like Atlanta. Getting into Pittsburgh, these people take a lot of pride in their community. And that's why we talk about, if you love your community, they're going to love you back. And I really think you can translate that anywhere, not just, some of the smaller secondary cities, but we've seen it in big cities, small cities, but you got to genuinely love the community. You can't fake caring, right? You can't fake loving your community. You can't fake caring about your community. And I love some of the small things. There's a lot of things that I could talk about that I've seen Patrick do, but I don't want to talk for Patrick. I can't tell you how impressed I was with his entire operation, his team, and he's being serious about it. His whole team is bought into it. And I love some of the small things they do. I do want to touch on one because I thought it was such an amazing idea. He's got this huge grill and tent area outside of his dealership. And I was talking to a member of his team one day about how it gets used. And they will and Patrick, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they'll donate that space to local civic groups.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Patrick,
it's incredible.
Patrick, do you have a grill out front that you allow people to use?
Yeah, we do. We have an entire bar area with a fire pit and a big TV. It's a pretty impressive deal.
I invented that. I swear, I've got it on videos 30 years ago.
Jim, are you my father?
Dun, dun, dun. Well, there was something we didn't want to tell you yet, but it's time to talk.
Bruce Butcher's Toyota in Georgia. We actually put a slab out there and we put an industrial strength barbecue pit. I've talked a dozen dealers into doing it through the years. And we got the cheerleaders, the Shriners, the Boy Scouts, everybody out there having fundraisers on the weekend. Are you doing that?
Yeah, like one of our big events of the year is we raise money through barbecue for the American Legion, and they come out here and they raise the flag for us, and we're supporting the vets, and it's super cool. Yeah, but all that stuff is, listen, Mr. Beaver designed this store for that type of to have that.
It's amazing. We put a car wash on the other end of the lot, by the way. We had
Patrick doesn't know this.
We had the barbecue pit and the car wash. Every weekend, Bruce Butcher's Brunswick Toyota is where I invented the concept, and I nobody did it before I did it. And we got the cheerleaders out there with signs. We got the Shriners out there with signs. Every Saturday, they're having a barbecue fundraiser. They're having a car wash fundraiser.
I'm telling you, Patrick should hire me.
I'm impressed, Patrick.
I share these things about Patrick all the time. He should hire me as his hype man. I
can't take on any more best friends, but you're really running hard in the committee right now.
Yeah, we're building some stores in Gainesville, Georgia right now. We've got some new stores under construction, and that was one of the first things we told our architect. Like, hey, we need these outdoor, areas that we can use, for the community, and we got to be able to fit a certain amount of people. And I give all the credit to Patrick because I really wouldn't have thought of that. And there's a lot of need in Gainesville, Georgia. Huge Latin American community, huge Hispanic community. So we do a lot of work with the schools there. There's a school right behind us, Lyman Hall Elementary. It's 96% Hispanic. And so everything from, the small things, the backpack drives, we did 100 bicycles where the parents of the kids actually came into our dealership and helped us put the bicycles together. And it was just incredible community involvement. About the community being in your store. We really had a lot of fun with it. But a lot of those ideas come from, watching some of the masterminds on your shows, Jim. So thank you for doing these.
So Jim, guys, let me listen. I've been quiet for 27 minutes.
Your turn, Max. Take your turn.
27 minutes. Yeah. Come on, Max.
27 minutes. I kept my mouth.
Wait a second, Max. You're not going to talk about getting a prom dress, are you?
No.
Listen,
I really, I appreciate the love fest, but let me give you like a little bit of a dose of reality.
Oh, wait a second.
Wait a minute.
Captain Optimistic, cut it in.
Yeah. Why don't you just guys Google the least respected professions in the United States?
It doesn't matter.
Well, we're stereotyping.
And
not
the
about
answer
that.
is salespeople. So my point here is that we do a terrible job letting people know what is it that we do for the community. And that falls not on the dealership. It falls on the state associations. It falls on NADA, because everything that Patrick and Mike and Geno are saying is amazing. But if you ask an average person on the street what they think about car dealers, it will not be any of those things.
No,
it
but
will
sometimes
be
that is a company policy. But you're right. So we have NADA and NADA
Bobby,
connections.
I am never wrong.
Let's come. Okay, babe. It seems more important to you.
Wait, let me get back in the love fest again.
Can I give a love fest comment? I just have a quick question. Patrick, would you mind, not today, but tomorrow or Friday, if I reached out to you? Because for WIA, for Women in Automotive, I'm on the board, and I would like us to help promote that prom dress thing through our social and stuff. So I'd like to get the company's information and stuff. So if it's okay with you, I'll reach out to you another day.
For sure.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And to Max's point, though, guys, there's a fine line. You don't want to be actively, we're helping people, because that's not the point of it. It's about actually helping and getting the involvement. And yes, Max, people don't like us. We know that, but we still do it anyway.
Everybody likes me.
We still get out
They don't
there.
like us because we don't control the narrative.
We need to do a better job.
We don't control the
to
narrative.
change the perception.
One at a time.
We can control the narrative. We need to do a better job when it comes to controlling the narrative.
And I do believe that there's a way to do it. I think the people who go and try to boast that, look at who we are, but there is a way to market what you're doing where you don't damage your reputation. And
you let your community market it for you. You let them share the social posts. You let them do the things. Don't ask them to do it. You emphasize it, right?
Well,
and there's nothing wrong.
We've got three dealers. We've got 3 dealers represented, 4 with April.
Yeah.
We got 4 dealerships represented, and all 4 representatives have a great reputation in the community with the people. because of what they do. Now, Beaver Toyota, when I watch the cable TV in the evenings, I see the bow tie guy and then Linda Beaver alternating commercials, and
I got a much better face for radio.
Geno, what specifically?
Well, I was thinking about it when he started talking about the prom dress thing, and I started thinking about like that's a really creative way to get engaged in your community and help. And then obviously using his outdoor fire pit's another great way to do it. But what we've done in the past when we do a product launch, let's say for example, Alfa Romeo came out with the new Tonale, right? So when that car came out, what we did is we partnered with women in technology and entrepreneurship, and we had a huge event for them. It was like a big social for them. So we had them all come down, everybody in the Tampa, St. Petersburg market, they came down, and it was less about the car and it was more about building a relationship with other people in the market and getting them an opportunity or a venue so that, because it's expensive, the whole venues. Right. We have all this real estate. We have all this, showroom space. And it was a great way to get engaged with prospective customers, but it was also a great way to find out what, makes them tick and what's important to them, and find out if there's any pet projects that they might be interested in. And we branched out since then and really helped. And if we get a couple car sales out of it, it's awesome too. But the number one way we can all participate in letting people know what we do is through our social media channels. And I think that if we don't do enough of that, and that's really attraction rather than promotion, right? So you're literally sitting there and showing people not just, what the monthly payment is on one of your vehicles or your oil change services, but you're showing how you're engaged in the community through social media, and then spending a little bit of bucks boosting it from here to there, but also getting a lot of shares from other people that work for you. That's a great way to be humble and still have an opportunity to show people that you're actually doing something more than just selling and servicing cars in the market.
I'm going to shift the gears just a second.
Listen, guys. Geno makes a good point, but I don't want to say that I strongly disagree, but I do disagree, right? And
Who would have guessed?
The best thing, right? Who would have guessed? Exactly. The best thing any car dealership can do is to actually participate in job fairs and hire kids out of high school or hire kids out of college and bring them into the industry and show them that we're not
we go to the trade schools all over the place. Technicians are probably the biggest shortage that's out there. We've had high schools come in to find out what it's like the day in the life to work in a dealership. So we're definitely doing that.
But technicians don't have the bad reputation car salespeople do. Right. So you need to hire people into the sales department, into the marketing department, into the F&I department to change the perception. And once the perception has been changed, you can sell more cars and you can do more things that people appreciate. Missing out on the.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, Matt.
We're getting a little off subject.
I'll rein this in, Jim. I'll rein this in. I promise. I'll rein this in. Max is wrong about one thing because the industry has a bad reputation as the industry. Our job is to singularly, as a dealership, build this community. If Patrick was the worst guy in the whole wide world, I can't change Patrick. What I can change is April Simmons and Horn Auto Group and what I do on a daily basis. And that's what's important. Geno's 100% right on social. Your social is your opportunity outside of the showroom to sell yourself and sell the dealership. The two most proven steps of the car business since the beginning of time to sell more cars and make more money is to sell yourself and sell the dealership. And that's what you're doing via social media. A couple other ways, though, that you can enhance that is number one, if I'm doing a pet adoption drive, for instance, inside of my showroom, is the pet adoption people, they're also sharing where this is located and they're sharing things about us. And so we're having our community now they're talking about us on their sites. Patrick brought up the American Legion. I've done that as well. Now I'm in their newsletter. Hey, April's your go-to car person because of the relationship that I built with them. I gave to them. They now have me in their newsletter with my cell phone, so I take care of all of their car sales.
Ask for backlink.
It's a one-to-one relationship that matters. And then you're not really bragging if you're involving the community. So using Patrick's, prom dress situation, if I can't get prom dresses if I don't put it out there that I'm collecting prom dresses, right? So you're doing it not in a way to brag, but in a way to involve the community in aligning with what you're doing. So it's not, look at what I did. It's, hey, come stand alongside us because this is what we're doing. Yeah. So it's not bragging if you're involving the people. It's only bragging if it's, 100% past tense of, look at, I'm a good human. I promise I'm a good human. No, you're not.
My point, and I knew April was going to nail it because I could tell by the look on her face, but my point for why Max is wrong is because we're not trying to change the perception. We're trying to impact our communities and we're trying to impact people's lives, not change the perception. If you're doing it for your own good, then it's not really charity.
I want to shift. Go ahead.
No,
go ahead, Mike Engel.
I think we highlighted in terms of the automotive industry and the negatives. But think about, there's so many industries out there. If you say attorneys or
then
there's
people,
so many different organizations. Yeah, but I think there's so many organizations out there that people have a negative perception of. But if you go into Pittsburgh, there is no negative perception of Jim Shorkey Automotive Group. Right. So, again, we can highlight our industry because we're in the industry. We know the history. We know the past. We know the negative narratives that have been created. Again, I don't try to control, perception can become reality, but I try to focus on the reality. And I can tell you in our community does not have a negative. There's no negative reputation.
So anyway, I want to talk about promotions that don't necessarily give back to the community, but draw a huge crowd to the dealership. Now, I go back to Billy Facillo. Now, Billy Facillo, #1 Hyundai dealer in the world. He had $1 million bet with Staluppi, and I was working with both of those dealerships about who's going to sell the most Hyundais in 1 month. Billy won, barely. I mean, two juggernauts. And he had Evel Knievel, or Robbie Knievel, rather, Evel Knievel's son, jump over his dealership with a motorcycle. And he had an event called the Facillo 500 where he sold 500 cars in a day. And you can Google that up, and he did it a number of times. And this is Western New York. So, Geno, have you done anything that drew a big crowd that was just a promotion that not necessarily given back to the community, but something that was of interest to the community?
Well, we were just involved this weekend in the Firestone Grand Prix, which was kind of a big crowd that's here in St. Petersburg. And we actually sold a car off of it. One of the cars that was actually at the race. But every single month in the quarter, one of our 3 stores does, like for example, this weekend at our Audi store in Lakeland, we're doing a Cars and Clovers event. So we're not going to get, Ric Flair types of crowds, but we're definitely going to get people who are performance enthusiasts, people who are engaged in buying nice automobiles and want to show off their automobiles. It's a little bit more fun, but you have to add some things to it. So, for example, we're giving out, shirts specific to that event, right? And something that somebody can take home, and then they can wear them around, and they're like little walking billboards for you. So there are other ways that you can get engaged with getting a bunch of people at the store. If I go back to my way back past, I used to work at a place called Anything on Wheels, and we would do every year that we were in business, we would sell cars for that price. So we had $29 cars, and we'd have 29 of them. And you know how much fun that is. You stand there with a raffle, and you have all these $100 cars that you're literally selling for $29. And we would get 2,000 to 3,000 people in there, and we would then turn that event into something.
I've seen those events. Those events are huge.
Where we would smash a car, and everybody would pay $5 to get 5 swings at a car, and we give them a sledgehammer. So those were some of the fun things. I can't do that so much at a Maserati dealership anymore. But I was at Beaver Toyota, man, I'd be smashing some cars. I can tell you that.
Patrick, what have you done?
So in this store, some of the biggest draws have been, it's always car giveaways. And, you know, our recent one, we partnered up with the local Christian station and we gave away a car. And it was one of the deals that they gave away here, and they gave away the key deal. But that just draws hundreds of people, and you make a complete circus out of it, right? You have a live band there, you have some food trucks, and you can make a real huge circus out of it. And it draws a crowd.
Elvis performer on a flatbed truck.
That's it. But I got to be honest, though, I'm not a big fan of just bringing 1,000 people to hang around the dealership. I know that's good for business. Everybody thinks it is. I don't have the staff to go and actually handle those customers properly. And there's going to be a whole load of crappy experiences if 1,000 people show up at one time to buy a car. So we don't do too many of those, but car giveaways are always big and they're effective, because one of the things that they did on that car giveaway was the Christian radio station would do remotes at different places around the city. And to get your entries, you'd have to scan the QR code that was on a car that they were driving that we were giving away. So the data collection behind that was massive.
You know, I don't want to ever see 1,000 people come on a lot trying to sell them cars. When you draw a crowd on a lot, anytime you do a promotion that draws a big crowd, you're not trying to sell any cars during that. I just want people to show up, know where the dealership is, and remember they had a good experience when they passed by that dealership. So the wrestling matches, and when Lynn Hickey died, set the world record, 2,857 cars in retail in 1 month, and that was in the Guinness Book of Records. When Lynn Hickey died, sold that many cars, he was up in a conversion van hanging over the lot with Evel Knievel, and they were blowing up cars on the ground with rocket launchers left over from Desert Storm.
I mean, why don't we own a rocket launcher?
I think because I would get in trouble, and that's why we don't have one.
Missing out.
Well, anyway, let's take a look at something here.
You brought this last night. I got to ask you, what do we have this for tonight?
I brought it back to my pal Lynn Hickey. I want to see what he's going to do with it tonight.
Hey, let me guys, really. We did this last night.
Adrenaline junkie.
Yeah, I want one.
I was there.
Have we bought the top off the market now? Are we done with the rocket launcher?
We are going to set sales records that's never been hit and can't be attained.
Folks, we're out to sell 3,000 cars and trucks. This man will do whatever it takes. He's putting more in trades than I've ever seen before. Praising cars
for gold, ropes, or anything that glitters.
You can see this commercial this evening, regardless of where you go.
We are going to set sales records that's never.
Really. We did this last night.
I got to show it again. There you go.
Man, I wish they had that truck back. I guarantee you'd make a lot more money.
Right?
I'm telling you, have we bought the top off the market now?
Now the liability there, 10,000 people shooting illegal rocket launchers. I don't think everybody should do that. But I can see Mike Engel hanging from a conversion van.
The AlphaDawg lawyer would tell us, no, we cannot suggest that. We are not suggesting that, people.
I don't think they're illegal in every state, though. So it depends on where your dealership is.
That was in June.
Are we the only show that has a legal team on staff? I think we might be.
But there was 10,000 people on that lot, and I couldn't believe they're blowing up cars. And then
you know, one of the promotions we haven't talked about, Jim, yet that I think has got a really good car ROI to it is the car clubs. So we've done a lot of events at the store with different
classic cars. Classic.
Well,
cars.
No. I'm talking like
too.
We had an AZ86 club, so like the Scion FRS and the BRZ, and like we would do events at the store, and we would get, you know, the aftermarket companies to donate products, and they would show up, and we'd do the whole barbecue and do raffles of the products and T-shirts and, you know, hats and all the different things. But you get that whole community together, and when you get these car clubs together, when somebody stops them at the gas station and says, hey, where'd you get that car? And now you've got them sending them to you. You also have that happening a lot. So I think car clubs can be valuable. And there's car clubs for almost anything now. I'm talking Tacoma has a car club. The, Mazda Miata, we've done, some events with them, with the Miata Club. So I think if you look at all your models that you have, search locally and see what clubs exist on different forums.
These are models that you sell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
you might be surprised how many local clubs there are for those models, and you can really build some fun events and get.
Yeah. Bullock Auto does that with Jeep. They do something every year with the Jeep Club, and they're well known for customizing Jeeps and the accessories and stuff that they sell. They limited that during COVID and haven't yet returned back to it, but are this year. And it was massive. There were thousands of people on the lot when this was happening.
Oh yeah, they'll do custom ducks, do the little custom ducks. So you know how the Jeeps, they do the little ducking thing.
Exactly.
So you get your name put on the ducks and you try to there's so much fun.
Has anybody in the panel ever had a classic car show?
Yeah, we have. Well, so my first group that we don't like to talk about, because when Bobbie and I used to compete against each other, we actually had a specialty collectible pre-owned department. We had a whole separate store.
They did.
And we participated with classic car shows. And actually, I've been waiting to kind of share this because it's the funnest promotion that I've ever been a part of. When we opened that indoor showroom, we actually invited the 3 local high school art students. We had different art students came and painted murals on the walls. Mm-hmm. And then we let the community, whether they were coming through, we did car shows all the time in that parking lot right next to the dealership. And we would then invite people to come in and vote on which mural they liked the best. And then we gave a scholarship to that student. So it was a way to tie all of that together. People who were enthusiastic about those cars. I mean, we were selling stuff, some stuff from our store lives in Jay Leno's garage.
It's actually really easy to get involved. There's like a whole cottage industry of car shows.
Yeah.
So one of them is, if you have a Volkswagen store, is VW Getaway. And we just did that last year, and they do an awesome job of not only promoting their own thing, but promoting your dealership. And the classic V-dubs are just off the charts, especially the buses.
So cool.
It's and we've seen the same thing with some of our high performance cars too. We get some really old Maseratis or Alfa Romeos that come in. They're vintage, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And those people are super fans for it, right? And you have somebody who has a 2023 Quadrifoglio looking at Giulietta, convertible Giulietta that the guys had since the 60s. And it's awesome to see that group of people connect, the new with the old. And that's definitely, you can get involved with those clubs, but they're also people who, like Donna Crowley, who does most of our car shows. She's doing a car show every weekend. And that's her.
She's a marketing company. She's phenomenal.
No, she does something every week, and she's on all of our.
Yeah, DONA.
She's doing stuff constantly, and she gets a great following, and it's I don't have to do any of the work. That's the best part about it.
I almost invited her to this broadcast.
Well, you should have definitely invited her to a broadcast, because she's definitely does an awesome job here in Florida, for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to throw out there an idea real quick for people to think on. This isn't specific, but thinking about the prom dress thing for a minute with the community involvement combined with the marketing aspect that we're talking about. Things that are separate but that brand together are often overlooked. So if you're doing the prom dress thing, there's a million ideas with that, sure. But what about sponsoring the photo booth at prom? And not with your big name and all that stuff, but it's part of the requirement is what you want to put in. We don't need kids' email addresses, but their home address. And then send a thank you card with a copy of the picture to the house. Now you just built a mailer marketing list with something that you gave them something from their children that's going to automatically associate a positive sentiment to the things. It's very inexpensive. It's $500.
Can you hire the photographer or the booth?
Huh?
I would go so far as to hire the photographer.
Well, the thing about the booth is a kid is going to use a booth because it's fun and it feels retro, and they have to put in what the required information is. So they print a picture of them, and it prints a second copy for the person with the booth or who's hosting the event. Then you could send thank you cards or, hey, look, thanks for, whatever, and send it to the house. So now you've created a positive sentiment. Now, are they going to share that on social? Yes. Are they your market? No. But do you know who watches their teenagers' socials? Their parents. And from a photo booth button, you press one button to be able to upload. Minimal clicks, good for the community, branded together. Not that I'm saying do community things for the return on it, but think about these things as an overall, because they can work together really well.
Mike Engel, what other promotions have you done that drew a big crowd?
Look, I'm kind of more in line with what Patrick talked about the data collection. We used to do the things in the past in DC. We did we had the Raminator, the big monster truck on our lot one time, and we had the big Ram monster truck. He ran over 3 Ford F-150s. But you know how much cleanup work I had to do after, and I didn't think about the glass busting everywhere, and I got 5,000 people in my lot cheering for this Ram truck driving over these Ford F-150s, and it was fun and it was a great time. But then I had, fuel cleanup, and I had cleanup of glass. So now we still, we do some semi-sized big events now, and it's more about the data collection. Like, we're fortunate Pittsburgh is such a big sports city, and we'll bring in. I've got fortunately some athlete friends that I've become close to, and they'll come hang out at the store for the day. You can finish up your deal with Joe Musgrove, who's a dear friend of mine from the San Diego Padres. He would come in and sit in the finance office while you finished your deal. And so people could say they bought their car from Joe Musgrove. We've done that with other athletes from the Steelers, and it still brings a crowd. It's amazing what people will do to come get an autograph, right?
Yeah.
But it's more about just the fun that we have, and then the data that we get for using later. Beth Rabosky, who's our marketing director.
How big would that crowd be if the Steelers were winning?
Oh, man. I mean, we pass out T-shirts on game days. So we're a partner with the Penguins, and we, our marketing team goes to the Penguins games, and we pass out all these T-shirts of the Penguins, and it's got the company logos. And it's so cool when I go, to a restaurant and I see somebody wearing a Jim Shorkey Auto Group Penguins shirt, right? I just see people out in the community representing our gear, and it's a lot of fun. And then we have all those customer data, we get to find out. So the data collection is a critical piece of it.
Mike, you guys might be doing this.
Mike, but when you drew that big crowd, you had to clean up and you had to do all that, but it humanizes the dealership. I disagree with. I am a believer in drawing a crowd to the dealership, no matter what you had to do afterward.
I was a big believer before I quit drinking.
Can I throw something out real quick? It'll just take a second. I just want to throw something out real quick. Mike, you guys might already be doing this. If not, it's great. But for the people watching, because that's such a great idea when you're bringing in the sports teams, if you go old school and new school together, whenever you're doing that and you're creating video content from it, geo the sports bars on every day of a sporting event for a couple $100, collect that data using a social media campaign. Easiest reach you'll find.
This woman's an expert.
Yeah, I never saw.
I do marketing for a living too, so maybe that's why. But it's just something to think about.
We got 7 minutes left.
That's a great idea.
The West Herr dealerships in Western New York, Buffalo, Syracuse. West Herr, Matt Lasher, he couldn't be on the show today, but Matt, they do a lot of work with the Buffalo Bills. I mean, the Buffalo Bills are at their showroom, and the Buffalo Bills have revitalized the last couple of years, almost made it to the Super Bowl. So the Buffalo Bills are big with and West Herr is the biggest dealer in New York. A lot of people don't realize that. They're thinking maybe be a New York City dealer, but it's West Herr because they got so many locations. As we wind down the last 6 minutes, Patrick, what have we not told him about Beaver Toyota?
That it is one of the most special places on the planet. It really is. Our dealership's not full with, it's just full with some of the most amazing human beings. But I think for me, the biggest, and I just want to tie back to what everybody was saying, and this was one of the best advice anybody's ever given me, Jim, is when you're marketing, promoting, branding, or being in the community, try to be where everybody's having fun. If they can correlate your dealership and your brand with fun, it just becomes amazing.
Positive sentient.
That is absolutely. What have we not told them, Geno?
Well, I mean, I think if you're a dealer and you're watching this, it's tier one has really failed a lot of us out there as far as awareness. Some of the bigger ones, obviously Toyota does a pretty darn good job of it, right? So that helps. But some of the smaller stores, if you're not out there in the market putting your own awareness out there, especially in an election year, your tier one's not going to save you. So like get out there, get involved in your community, and participate in everything that you do, from a jalapeno eating contest to an ice cream social, whatever it is. You are literally your own campaign manager for bringing customers to the store.
Absolutely. Mike, anything we haven't told them?
Not a lot, man. I just want to thank you guys, and I do want to thank the Shortney Group. They're celebrating 50 years in automotive this month.
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Being involved in the community. You know, I don't want to talk about any of the private equity groups. When I go to flag football games and youth sports and baseball games, I'm not seeing a lot of these bigger groups that are sponsoring teams and jerseys. And so I think that the small groups and, you know, the family owned and operated groups do a much better job in the actual community. They're not looking, you know, for the big, you know, nothing against United Way, but they're not looking for these big groups just to throw on their website. They're focusing on,
Mike, some of the big groups, I refer to them as mercenary management.
Yep. And so again, very, very proud to be a part of this group. 50 years in automotive. I think it's incredible. And I'm proud of our team that jumps on, because somebody talked about it earlier. You want to retain your employees, show them you care about the community, right? Again, you love your community, they'll love you back. You love your team, they're going to love you back. And so I think you want to retain your employees, get involved in the community.
Now Max is the palate, the sorbet that cleans your palate. Max, any negatives we haven't discussed?
No negatives. It's just that the state and the state associations and the NADA need to do a better job, because yes, you guys do a phenomenal job promoting yourself and doing the right thing by the community, but there has to be a change in the perception in the consumer's mind, right? Car dealers are not bad guys. Car dealers do the right thing all the time, but don't get enough credit for it. And there's nothing wrong with pushing your state associations or NADA in creating a PR campaign, nationwide PR campaign, right? That shows the everyday consumer that car dealers should not rank as the, you know, one of the worst occupations in the country.
Yeah.
You know,
I think Subaru has done a good job of that, Max. The manufacturer too.
Subaru's done a good job. A number of them have.
Listen, Subaru is a very limited market. You know, let's get real here. You know,
Max's time.
700,000 limited market. Like, I don't think that's limited.
Geno's like, whoa, don't be talking about Subaru like it's whole different.
We got 2 minutes.
But I'm sure when you watch the replay and you Google the limited market, you'll understand what I'm saying.
Okay, April.
2 minutes left.
You two stop it. April, you got 1 minute.
Okay, I just want to say that, you know, obviously these humans on this broadcast today are the people who genuinely walk the walk. I mean, right there behind Mike, it sums up the whole broadcast. You gotta wanna, right? And so appreciate you having that there behind you. I talk to obviously a lot of vendor partners, and your names, you know, Patrick and Mike and Geno, your names come up all the time on just good humans. Before they even talk about what your stores do, you're referenced as a good human. And I think that if we just want to do that, that's step number one. Just be a good human. The rest will follow.
Okay. As we wind down the last 1 minute, Bobbie, I hate to ask you to talk for 1 minute.
I can do it, I promise. Watch, countdown. I just want to ask the audience to please share in the comments the things that you do in your store. But what would you do if it was your store? Because the best way we can build and learn together, that where this continues on, is a conversation. So please don't hesitate to put those comments in and talk to each other. And if you have questions, call one of us. We're happy to help you guys.
Okay, everybody wave goodbye to the audience.